Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Event Builder Part 4, part of our deep dive series into the registration module of Stova. I'm your host and trainer today, Steve McGillivray, and I work in the ASU Office of University Events and Protocol. And for the last couple weeks, we have been building out a registration site and showing you all the different features available in registration because there is a lot to show. And that continues today. We've pretty much built out our system, but now we're going to look at how we can adjust what the whole site looks like to the people who visit and also show you some of the features available on our advanced settings tab. As usual, I start with a little housekeeping. If you walked into the room, you probably heard that this session is being recorded. The link to the video will be shared with you by email after Zoom does its thing and its processing. As we go through the system today, you may see some other names of other companies pop up besides Stova. You may see Eventry, you may see eTouches. This is all the same platform. The company has just changed names over the last 10 years, and not everything has caught up as far as being changed to the new name of Stova. If you have questions, you're free to ask them by posting in the chat. I'll be checking that as we go along. Or you can just unmute your microphone and ask your question during the presentation. You can wait to the end where there'll be plenty of time for final questions. The session is scheduled for 90 minutes, but I don't think we'll be taking up the whole 90, so plenty of time for final questions. This is today's agenda. Again, we're dealing with look and feel. And there's really two different sections of the registration site. There are things called headers and footers that you can put onto your web pages. We'll show you how to edit those and create new ones. Then to adjust the entire scale of the theme of the site, including colors and fonts, and just how things look, we'll be using a feature called Theme Editor. This is also how you can manage your images in the Stova system. Then we'll be going to the features available under the Advanced Settings tab and pointing out what's been enabled on our template, what kind of features are available, such as changing languages or allowing people to see multiple languages, changing some of the system terms, etc., etc. So let's get started by showing you just a reminder of what event is we've been building out. Not too much will be affected by this today, but just to know it's a multi-day, multi-session conference. We've already built out the categories of people coming into the site and what they can do in the system, what they can see as far as questions are, how they're being charged, discounts available, that kind of thing. And there'll be a couple of places where we can use those categories for visibility of today's features. So let us jump in, as I usually do, by going to our support site and clicking on the login button. And this takes me to our special ASU single sign-on page where I enter my ASU Right ID. And because I've been in here before, I didn't have to log in through the standard ASU SSO that you may be familiar with. Just by the way, we just noticed an error message coming up on all of our sites right now. Support has been notified, so you don't need to worry about this. They are looking into it. But here I am at the cloud level, can't see any of my events. I have to click on my team folder in order to see its contents. So here we go. This is the event I need to look at. And if I clicked on this, I would be taken to the overview page of this event. But I can save myself a step because where I need to go is to go to the registration settings page. If I right click on that name, this little contextual menu pops up. And now I can save myself a step and go right to registration settings. So we've built out everything from event info and its basic details to categories to the questions we ask the attendees, what's the agenda for our conference and how they select sessions, and even set up the fees. So now we're going to worry about look and feel. What does it look like right now? Well, if I click preview event, this is what the site looks like after just using our ASU template. We have programmed these fonts and colors, capitalization, and the logo and the background as part of our template for this. So we're going to make a few adjustments to this. This title here is actually the first thing you've seen, which is a header. Down here is a field that is showing up from attendee info. So there are a couple of different ways to put information on your websites. Now, why would you use one or the other? Well, we'll touch base about that. Going back to our registration settings, I'm going to go to look and feel and go into headers and footers. So again, the template already has some pre-programmed for different parts of the site. We have programmed a global header, and this shows up on every page that does not have a page-specific header called out. Okay, so it's a way of doing one thing and letting it show up in multiple places. If I go into edit, okay, this is how I can tell which kind of a header or footer this is. Where does it appear? If it's global, it's going to show on every page, and there is the list of the page specifics where I can customize the message on that particular page of my site. Type is the page header. Do you want something to show in a left sidebar? Do you want to create a right sidebar? Or do you want to create a page footer? You have that choice. Notes is just internal for you to make something your team can read about why this page even exists or why this header exists. Then we go into the content section, and this, as we have talked about previously, is an HTML field. You can tell because it has the little HTML bracket here. You can also tell because it has that HTML coding showing up. So to edit something like this, you would want to go into HTML icon. This now takes you into the content editor, make what changes you want. And again, this is global, so I'm going to leave this one alone. When you're ready to leave this page, just go hit contact or update content. And down here are where the visibility settings are. Now, we've talked about visibility settings before, but once again, user type, public users are the people who, your general audience. They just show up and look at admin users are you. Okay, so if you want some information just for your admins when they use an admin registration, you can do that. But right now, this is set to be seen by both groups. Are they new registrants or modifying registrants? So if you want to customize the message based on this is their first time in, or are you allowing your registrants to come back into their registrations to edit? Do you have a special message you want to give to those people who are modifying? And this is only showing up because we are allowing modification permissions are enabled on my site. You can show different messages to different categories, as I mentioned earlier. Right now it's for all categories. If you wanted to see all the categories so you can select, just uncheck that box and select what that message is. Perhaps you have a special message for your sponsors or for your exhibitors as they go through the system. Registration statuses. So when a person registers on your site and completes a registration, they will automatically marked as a status of confirmed. Okay, if you're using the waitlisting feature for events or categories, and they have been added to the waitlist, they'll be marked as waitlist. They can also be marked as canceled if they've canceled their registration, and if you're using the check-in feature of the registration site, there's also a status called attended that they will be marked as once they go through that process. So if you have a special message you want to show people based on that status, you can do that here under visibility. Now for global header, I want everyone to see it. But perhaps if someone's on the wait list, I want to give them a special message. Or if someone's canceled and they end up on the last page, I want to give them some sort of message. Okay, so that's the purpose of registration statuses. Travel status, we don't really talk about travel very much, but this is available through the hotel and travel tab. And they even have the ability to leave messages for people who are using any discount codes you have programmed on your event. Pretty comprehensive, but I'm just going to leave the defaults there and close that. And but I'm going to show you how to create a new header. So on my site, what I would like to do is I would like to have not only the event name on my new registration page, which is the first page people go to. I want to also show them the banner I'm using in all of my marketing materials and my website, just so that it confirms that they're on the right place. I can either click Add Banner down here, or I can make a clone of an existing header or footer. I'm going to make a clone of the global header because it has some information that I want to keep and some settings I like, so I'm just going to hit clone. And again, now I need to pick the page specific, so it overrides the global, and there it is. There's new registration page. Okay. And just make a note to myself that I'm going to add a banner. In fact, let's do a couple of things. And before I go forward, I'm just going to do a save just in case. So let's add my banner. I'm going to put it in front of this name. I don't need to have any styling at that stage. So you will see this way of uploading graphics in a couple different places in the system. And to show you again how I can add a graphic from within a content editor, I want to click on this little image icon here. Now I need to find the image. I'm going to click Browse Server, and it popped up on my other screen. Bring it back over here. All right. Now, here's the upload image button, but I do not want to click it yet. I am outside of my team folder. If I was to add the image from here, it would go in a place where I would never see it again, and it would eventually disappear. So I might see it on my site for a while, but it would eventually, the image would break because that part of the system is cleared out from time to time. So I at very least need to go into my team folder, and now I can upload an image here. And again, it keeps popping over my other screen. So once I click upload, now I can click the browse button and find my images. I have them in a special folder right here. And I want my banner. Okay, now if I wanted to, I could upload more images this way if I'm going to use them later and save myself a step. You can save up to 20 images at a time, or upload them 20 images at a time. But for now, I'm just going to do this one. And here is one place where if I wanted to, I could edit the banner. Why would I do that? Well, perhaps it's an exceptionally large banner graphically, and I needed to get down to the specs I know I need for theme editor. I could do that here, click edit, and I could change the name. I could change its folder location within my images database here. And here's where I could click size and crop. Normally we would recommend that you size your images before you import them. It's just as easier to do than to try to edit things once they're in the system. But I'm not going to make any changes. It's one success. There's no close button. It's just clicking the red button. And there is my image there. So I can select it. And now it's given the system the URL where this image is located. Good idea to add some alt text for the screen readers. It's telling me what the banner size is right there. If I wanted to, I could adjust the size here, and it wouldn't edit the image as far as removing pixels. It would just sort of compress the image if I made it smaller. You don't want to go make it larger because then your image will start to fall apart. And click OK. And there is my banner followed by the event name. Lovely. We can also add things like merge codes. We already have one merge code pulling in the event name. And you can use merge codes in headers and footers, but you cannot use merge codes in attendee info questions. So that's one of the big differences when deciding where you want to put text or how you want to put messages for your attendees. Are you using merge codes? If you do want to use them, you have to do it in a header. They won't work in an attendee info question. Now I'm going to back out of this, save my changes for now, because I want to get to this View Merge Fields button. This is in a couple of places, such as event emails, but when you click this, yep, it did it again. It opens this window in a separate browser window, and I find it much easier to find my merge fields through here than the alternative they give me in the content editor. So before I leave, let's just say I want to put some location information here. And let's see how many choices. Category location, no. Event location. Lovely. Let's just keep that. And I'm going to keep this open so I can get back to it. I'll just slip over here and now go back into my editor. And I'd like that to be centered. And I'm just going to do a paste. And without formatting, there's my event location. Perhaps I'd like to do the event dates as well. Maybe I want to do that before. So the other way you can add merge fields is up here where you have a merge fields button, and why I prefer the browser or the browser window method is because when you click this method, you have to know where those details are that you're going to use. You know, I'm using event details, so I'm pretty confident things will be in here, but they're also listed a little oddly, just to be aware. But so if you know where those merge codes are under this kind of categorization, by all means, dive into it. But if you don't, you might want to use that fallback of the web browser button. Now, I am looking for dates and do we have just a... See, what I mean is I've been searching around for dates and it's different paradigms. So I want the date your event starts. Lovely. And let's also do the when it ends. Oh, good. It went right back to where I left off. Excellent. That's just what I want to see. All right, I can stop that search. And now I've added these merge fields to my system. I can format the text of these if I want as well. Change size, font. Be careful when you do that though, because you're overwriting the built-in style sheets of the system, of the theme that we've created. And some people can get a little crazy with it, a little confused. And if you need to back off of that, or things are just going not the way you want, there could be some HTML that you're fighting against. You can highlight this text and then use this little remove format button to try to clear away all the extra stuff that you really do not need. Also, another note, I forget if I've mentioned this in other webinars, is if you are copying this kind of text or any kind of text outside of the Stova system and then pasting them in, you should paste as text. There are different keyboard commands for that. With Macs, it's a Shift Command V would be a paste, but you want to use it as text because sometimes when you copy text outside of Stova, you're also copying code. If you copied it from an email, if you copied it from a website, you might be copying some styling code that when you paste, it will also paste that style. And that could screw you up in how it looks later. And can be difficult to remove if you don't understand what's going on. So just be aware of that. You want to paste text and format it within Stova whenever possible. Okay, those are my edits there. Going to hit save and exit. That's set. That's set. This is for everyone who lands there. So I'm going to hit save and exit. And where have I got new registration page header? So this is listed by alpha sorted by the name of the type. Go back to a preview event to see how that changes things. Do a refresh on the new registration page, and boom, there's my banner. There are my merge codes, pulling information. Lovely. Okay. Great. Next, let's move on to theme editor. Again, this is how we can adjust some of the graphics in the theme, the fonts, the colors, some of the logos. Let's do a little navigation first. So in this window, it's very similar to preview event, where you can change which page you're looking at here to give it a sort of a preview on the fly. You can also change the category you're viewing, sort of a quick and dirty preview here. And then on the far right, the way to customize different parts of this system. And here's your preview window here. First thing you see are themes that are supplied by Stova. So different arrangements that may or may not work with ours, again, because ours is trying to be the dominant theme. But if you click any of these, they may override our theme. Down here are the Stova provided color schemes and backgrounds. Each of these is different. And then under that is your themes. And this is where we have programmed themes with using ASU branding and colors. And all of our themes are the same as far as the fonts and the colors are concerned. What's different about them are the background image. And again, it's a template. We expected this to be customized by folks. We didn't make a lot, but we gave you some general ones to get up quickly with your design. Or you could just simply opt for a solid background or a gradient background if you just want some color. That's up to you. Okay. If you are from Thunderbird, there you should also see some Thunderbird branded themes in there as well. Okay. If you want to change a theme, all you have to do is select one, and with a refresh, there you go. There's the new ASU branded theme. Again, it doesn't really matter what I pick because I'm going to change the background. Anytime you make a change here in the Customize, do click that Save button in the upper right, because if you leave this page, those changes will not be saved. And if you just need to go back to the original, click Reset. Right, so that is the Themes section. Next, the header logo. Now I want to change this header logo from the ASU to my units theme, or my units logo for this event. When you open this, I know you'll be very tempted to use this drag and drop here feature, which is in a couple of places in Stova. And again, I warn you, do not do that. That will also put your images in a place where you will never see it again and will eventually be flushed out, and you'll have a broken image symbol where you used to have a graphic. You want to know where your images are going in the Stova system. So here you want to use this select images from your database. And I click that, this changes below, and again it's showing me here is that cloud level we saw. I was showing you earlier in a different way to upload an image. So I want to go into my unit folder, which is shown here. Now you do want to drag and drop here, but then you're dragging and dropping into a place where you know it's okay, right? Up here, bad. Down here, good. And this is also where you can manage your images. You can delete them. You can edit their size. You can even organize them if you want to. And this is how you can do that. I'm going to open up a folder on my desktop where I have already prepared some files, and I've also got a folder. Let me just change that because I think I already have one sample folder in there. So I don't want any errors. So this folder's got nothing in it, just blank, but I can use this to drag it over to my unit folder. You see how the images have grayed out a bit here, so it knows I'm about to do something, and I just let go. And there, so I can navigate back to its top level up here, but there is my example folder. Lovely. Now, I think I dropped it off on the spring, which is why it thought it wanted me maybe to go in there, or that's why it did go in there, but that's fine. I want to save my images to that folder, so I'll go into it. Now I've got that black canvas. I'll go back to my uh, folder full of images, and I'm going to select a couple. Again, I can do a couple. I'm just going to drag and drop them in here into that new folder. And once again, I get this opportunity to edit any of these files. Well, they were all uploaded successfully, no problems. And so I am good to go there. Okay. Now, again, the whole point of doing this was so that I would have an image in here to change from the ASUs to my unendorsed brand. So I can select it. And now there is my unendorsed brand logo showing up where the ASU logo used to be. Lovely. So here you're also seeing some of the controls that you have available, I was saying earlier. So if I wanted to edit this image, there's the edit icon there. If I just want to delete it, I can just click the trash can and it will go away. So this is how you can organize images in your part of the images database. Okay. All right. That is for logos. Now, how do I change this background image? Well, that's the next session under Customize. Let me just hit Save before we go. All right, so it's showing me what this image behind here looks like. In a preview, do I want to pick a different background image? Do I just want to remove this and go for colors? Do I want to change that color, remove the current color? Do I want to create a gradient? Those are all of your choices. I want to choose a new file, which again I've put inside my team folder already. It was under the example folder. And let's use this one, see what that looks like. That's a little hard to see under that preview. Let me go back to this preview screen, give it a refresh. So yeah, I like that. I'll keep that. Okay. Next, now we can get into a little advanced editing. Just, oh, by the way, there is a little custom code that we've put in here as part of our system that just is a little additional things that branding wants to do. It wants to have this logo toward the left, some other minor color things going on here. So that's what that's for. If you're a coder, feel free to customize this however you like. It just takes regular HTML, CSS coding here. If you're not a coder, though, there's another way of changing things in the system. That's under colors and fonts. Now, this section will show you everything that you can change throughout your site as far as graphics go. It's not quite CSS. I don't know what they call this system, but if this is what you're interested in doing, I want to show you an easier way of changing things, because perhaps you just have one or two things you'd like to change. One of the things that we often get requests for are down here. Some people do not like that we have all of our field labels capitalized. They would prefer to see it upper lowercase. It's like, I get that. So how can we change that in the system? Well, you notice as I'm holding my mouse across all these elements, little button is popping up called Related Variables. And if you select that button when you're over the element you want to change, then the custom coding section will just pull up the things that are affecting that line of the design. And here we have, right, question QL, question label, capitalization, and this is what's turned on. on our theme. So, what are our options? There you go. None. It could be whatever you have entered as the theme label back under attendee info. Or you can go all lowercase if you want to do a little EE Cummings kind of thing, or your like style. Or here we go, capitalize. First letters are capitalized. That's what we want there. And I'm going to save those changes. Now, once I'm done with this, to get back to the full colors and fonts, I just have to click that little X, and now I'm back to the full menu of things I can change. Okay. I can't say it enough again. After you've made changes here and everything is the way you like it, do click that save button. Otherwise, your changes will not be saved before you leave. Do I have anything else I need to mention about headers and footers? Let's just go back, look at preview. No, I cannot think of anything here. So unless there are some questions, I'm going to, about Theme Editor, I'm going to move on to the next section, which is about advanced settings. Don't see anything in the chat. Don't see anyone, hear anyone unmuting their microphone. Okay. So before we move on, just remember one thing. On this registration page, I had activated some discount codes. And if you were here last week, I mentioned that this is what happens when you do, is this field, ID code, and this field appear automatically. And I don't really like that it says ID code. What is that? For a discount code? My audience will not understand that term. Is there a way to change that? There is, and we're coming up to it. So just keep that tucked in the back of your mind. Oh, there's one other thing. Now I remember. If you're interested in what kind of sizes these graphics need to be, we have a page on our support site that lists all the specs for logos, what's in the body, and in the background image for Theme Editor. Again, that's under registrations, Theme Editor graphic sizes on our support site. That was what I was going to mention. All right, moving on. Advanced settings. I'm going to mention some of these things because they're activated on our template. And if you have clicked the big blue button, they would not have been turned on because you would have gotten a blank Stova branded no features enabled event. Okay. Or if you walked into a unit and they already had some Stova registration sites and they just don't look like the ones you're building with templates, you want to know why, because perhaps you want to use it again. Here are some of the things that might be going on. Okay. One is the welcome page. So on our templates, we have disabled what is called the welcome page. Well, what is the welcome page? Welcome page is a page before new registration, to put it simply. You do see it under attendee info, listed as a section where you can put the email address and some other fields, and yet those fields show up on new registration page. Go figure. But let me show you what this looks like. I'm going to hit disable welcome page so that I can show you. Now, if I refresh, see, it's even saying up here, I'm on the new registration page. I know I am. Now I'm going to refresh, and now I've got a welcome page. And this is what the welcome page looks like. It's a place to put a header or footer, or again, some text fields, sort of a landing page, if you would, if you need that. With a button to go for new registration and modify registration. And this is actually the reasons we disabled it. When we had it enabled originally, you would not believe how many people, how many registrants landing on this page for the first time would not know which button to push. This is the first time. You should be new. Anyway, we just thought this was a friction point that just didn't need to be here. So in our templates, we decided to disable that since it was a feature we could turn on, and just skip a step. Let's go right to new registration, assuming you're coming from an invitation email or a website that says click here to register. Just don't need another landing page. But if you do want a landing page, there you go. Further, if you do want a landing page, you can remove the new registration and modify buttons from the welcome page. That just basically makes it a web page, doesn't it? Anyway, I don't know who asked for it, but they got it. You can do that if you like. Some of our clients do like to activate the back button so registrants can go backwards and forwards in the registration process. One of the things we've activated is there a way to hide categories on the new registration page and additional attendees page. So if you only have one category, and we always recommend you have one category, it's easier to make adjustments later if you need more. But if you just have one, they don't need to see that they're general admission for that one. So that's why we've enabled that here. If you want to switch some things around on these different pages, the agenda selections versus options, you want people to pick options first versus agenda. If you're using the hotel and travel tabs and want to switch those, that's up to you. Do you want to make each date on your agenda a separate page? There's an option. Switching the order of adding additional attendees and completing bookings. So if I had this disabled, don't know if it's going to show me on the... Yeah, okay. So what is this talking about? And this is, again, something we enabled on our templates. When we first got this, the complete registration section was on top of this section that says, do you want to add additional attendees? And we just thought somebody could click that button and not realize that if they want to add more people to the group booking, there's another step. So we just reversed these so that we have the add another first with some little helper text saying, okay, if you're done, you're done. Just click the complete at the bottom. Okay. These are just design choices that we made. All right. For the next section, these deal with some of the payment issues that you may. The only thing I can think of here that I've seen people use is when you go through a registration site as an attendee, a running total of the fees that you're going to pay show up as soon as you enter the system. So if you've applied fees to a category and they pick the category and go into it, they'll see how much that is. If you are charging people for sessions and they click a session or an option that you've added for merchandise, they will see that at the bottom getting higher and higher in the running total. If you do not want them to see that, you just want them to see how much it's going to cost at the end. That is one thing I've seen people use, is to stop the running total. Okay. Don't think our system will allow paying by multiple methods. And if no fee is required, they skip the payment page. That just makes sense. Now down here are some other things for you to be aware of. The select event domain is referring to a system called URL masking. This is something we've added to the system about 5 years into the system, where if you do not have this turned on, your event URL will have this domain name, naeventcloud.com. That's Stova's domain. And we just thought, some people were landing on this and they weren't sure that they had actually landed on an ASU site. Because they might have gone from an ASU webpage and they're suddenly on this weird looking URL. So we've added URL masking so that there would actually be an asu.edu domain. So this is turned on by default on our templates. You have the option of adding a short name. We covered that in Event Builder 1 as where you can add otherwise, if you don't have a short name here, it will just show the event ID number. And if this is behind a button on an email, it doesn't really matter, but that's available to you. So that's what this is regarding URL masking. Allowing registrants to resume incomplete registrations. So in the registration process, if an attendee opens the registration, starts the registration, but does not complete it within 30 minutes, they are going to be marked as incomplete, and they're going to be sent an email. Said, hey, your registration's incomplete. They are if you're using our template and have the incomplete email in it. And that email includes a button so you want to get back to where you were. And if they're on the same computer, and I think that has to be even on the same IP address, and you have this feature enabled, they'll be able to go back to the registration that they started in order to finish. Okay? If they are at a different computer with a different IP address, they'll have to go through the registration process again. And so you might see them in the duplicates report, which is available on site as one incomplete, one registration. But this is what this is allowing for them to go back to the original in order to complete. Okay. Some other things that can be handy if you need a numbering system for registrants. So besides the conferee number or registrant number, you can also just have a number assigned to them as they register. So maybe the first 10 people get a free prize or something. So that's available to you here under advanced settings. If you want to ask a registrant what category they want to select before they get to the registration page. Why? Because perhaps you just need that answer. So in order to show them messages as they go through the system, you need a message on the new registration page. You want them to select that category first. That's an option. You want to redirect people to a different web page upon completion of registration. Okay. We've enabled this on our templates, but older events and of course the big blue button would not have this. We have an add to calendar feature. It's a merge code that you add to your emails, and you can program for there to be a reminder already programmed into the ICS file. Let me just explain what disable user agents are. So this is referring to your browser's ability to autocomplete forms if you have that enabled. This blocks that. We've just found that sometimes those features can put in junk data, so we just want to give people the chance to put in fresh information and not have a system enter information that's incorrect and they don't catch it in time. Okay. Roommate pairing is a feature that's been enabled and newly enabled, and works with the hotel tab. So yeah, check that out if you need to use hotels for your system. Multi-day check-in. Now this is actually one I am going to enable. So my event is multi-day, and I want to check people in every time they come in and keep track that they've attended. They are coming in. This feature does that with the check-in system built into Stova, so that basically it will record everyone as they're marked as attended the day they arrive. And then the next day it starts all over again. Sort of a clean slate, but it keeps track of each of those check-ins. All right, I've made some changes, and as usual, I'm going to hit save and stay before I move on. All right. Next is language and wording. This is where you can enable features that translate your site into other languages. And it's pretty simple. You just select the languages you want. Let's hit Spanish and French. And then I'm going to save. Now that I've done that, a couple of things have happened in the system. The only thing that's being translated are system terms. And actually, it's not a smart system. It is just a system where you put in the information, or the system puts in the information for that language. So things like even your event name, if I go back to Event Info Basic Details, it's not going to translate my English name into French and Spanish, but the system has now provided me fields where I can put in that information in that language. Okay, same thing is happening under things like categories. So if I go into categories, you will either in the system see fields appearing for all the languages you selected, or you'll see something like this. What am I currently editing? Now English, and if I see, I have a pull down with the other languages here. So I go into French. Right, so nothing's there. I have to enter the information for those languages. Okay, so if it's a system term, though, those are already being translated. Does it show me that in preview event? Oh, okay, sure. So now I have this new section on preview event on the language. Let's go into something like attendee info, which has some system language, and change that to Spanish. Okay, and so now the system terms have been updated to that language. This is preview event. What does that look like to a person who's actually registering? That could be useful. There they have that little feature so that the user can change it to the language they would like to see. And you see what's happening here. Not that there would be a French term for Memorial Union, I don't think, but so you're seeing my English version of this attendee info field is not being updated, but these things happen. Okay. That's kind of cool. And it also gives you a way to manage custom translations where you can download a template of terms and then upload. I'm not going to go into the details of that because I don't have something ready to upload for French and Spanish terms. All right. And you can pick the default language of the site as well. But I do want to show you this, and this is how I can fix that problem with ID code on my new registration page. Here's how you can change terms used out throughout the system. So maybe you're making a site and you don't want to call them attendees, or you don't want to call them guests. You have some other term you want to use. That's fine. This is how you can change them. You're going to see all the system terms here. Everything, I should say, they have almost every system term except QuickPay. QuickPay is the one thing we can't change in the system. Well, that's plenty other things we can change. You can sort these pages by the page that term appears on, or by its translation, or you can simply search for it here, and I'm going to look for ID code. There we go. And it's just showing up in the new registration page, which is correct. So here's how you change. You click the edit button. Oh, and look, I've got ways to add those translations as well. So to change, let's call it what it is, the discount code. And I'm going to hit save and stay. And when I do that, the system will make that change throughout the system, but I will also change the color. Oh, you can't see it. Oh, you can see it here. Let me hit save and exit. But it also changes it in the master list. Down here, it changes it to red. So if I need a visual that something has changed system-wide, it's telling me that. I don't know if it's thinking or if it's stalled, but whatever. Okay, it's thinking. So there it is in the red. That's telling me, so this something has been changed here. Okay, that's fine. Now, if I want to go back to what it originally was, I can use this restore defaults. And if I just want to get rid of the term, I want to hide it, it's not doing me any good, I can click here to use a blank value, and it will no longer appear. Okay, so that is updating system language. Anything else that we usually change here? Not that I can think of. Okay. Next, under advanced settings, pre-approved data. And this is really used as a way to restrict people coming into your registration site based on either an email address or a domain name. The top section here for people who have been pre-approved is a way for you to upload lists of email addresses that have to be matched in order for the person to register for your event. You can either put that list for all categories at the top or for specific categories. To use it, you click Manage Pre-Approved, and you can simply copy and paste that information here. You can import it from an Excel or a CSV file. Then later you can download that sheet, and then we'll give you what that list is here. So if you need to manage it a bit, deleting folks that have been entered here, that's fine. So again, this is for limiting how a person can register either for your event, either it's all categories or you cannot put a domain in here. It has to be individual email addresses. Okay, and actually, yeah, it's only allow you use email addresses. Okay. Now here at the bottom, email suffixes, this is where you could put in a domain. So if you want to make sure everyone who's coming to your event is from ASU, you would enter the asu.edu and hit save. And then everyone has to use an asu.edu email address to get in. Okay. I would not suggest doing Gmail. That's really not going to limit people very much, but you can see how this would be handy if you have to restrict it for companies, sponsor companies, exhibitor companies, to get into the whole system. Now, this is system-wide. This is all email addresses have to follow an email suffix restriction. All right. That's pre-approved data. Preload data. So this feature, as the name implies, allows you to preload registration sites with data based on its source. The system will match the email address entered on the registration page to whatever record source you use and then pre-populate that information. So the sources can be, you can preload from a previous registration. So if you turn this on, this will not only look at the registrations for your unit, it will actually look for registrations throughout the entire ASU account and pre-populate their name, their address, contact information. They can still make changes from that pre-populated information, but again, think of this as a convenience feature, or in some ways an inconvenience feature, because with our current system over 10 years, there's a bit, not everyone has respected account level fields, and this is where account level fields come into play. That's the information that they can pull. Every registration has been put into the big database of our ASU account in order for this feature to work, but not everyone has used account level fields correctly, so you could get some junk data. Just a warning. Another source can be what they call an event-specific database, and if you select this, you have the option to upload that information yourself and create the database here in the event. So it cannot be used for validation, but if you already have the information or trying to make things go faster for your attendees, again, upload this information, know that they're going to be matched by their email address, and then pre-populated all your attendee info fields. The preload from contact database, there is a contact database. It's separate from the account level database. You don't have access to it, so I don't know if it's going to be much use to you there at all. You can also preload from a marketing email list. If you were at the marketing module webinar last week, you learned that you could link a mailing list to an event. And if you did that, you could use this feature. Right now, I don't have a mailing list linked here, but that's the purpose of linking them, is for something like this feature. So again, you can pre-populate those attendee info fields. We do not have the ability to preload via SSO at ASU. And with Salesforce, we have a different dedicated template that we recommend that you use if you want to integrate Stova registration site with the ASU instance of Salesforce. Okay. And then if you select one of these options, you have more options down here to use as far as are they going into a category or what happens if there is an error. Okay. For my purposes, I am not using it. I am just giving you the tour today. Then we also built into events are 3 different ways to put a registration on pause until they are approved. And I'm not going to go into the details of these systems. I'm just going to point them out to you. For more information, I'm going to direct you to click on the hamburger button and go to the support button here and get information directly from the vendor. but they are under approval tab. You've got standard and management approval, and I'm not clear on what the differences are. I haven't taught this for a long time. But they are internal. These are for people who have Stova accounts to be able to get in here, review the registrations, decide if that person can be part of this event. Another feature, these are two here. The third one is external review, where you provide people who don't have Stova accounts a way to review applications and approve them and leave notes. So it's sort of a system that can be used for abstracts. I believe I've seen this for abstracts, but again, its main point is these people who you make reviewers do not have to have Stova accounts. They don't have to be in the Stova system. Okay. There actually is a fourth approval process specifically designed for abstracts. It's called the Abstracts module. It's a premium feature that's available for additional fees. And if you're interested, contact us at stova@asu.edu, and we'll be happy to chat with you about it. But it's a whole system for managing the abstracts process for an academic event, from accepting the abstracts to reviewing them to actually turning them into sessions in your Stova registration site. Okay. So if you are into coding and you want to play around with this a bit more, there are some ways to add custom codes to the top of the page and the bottom of the page. Now, coders would know what that means. And one of the uses of them can be for adding analytics data. That and the Google Analytics alone, where you can add a code that Google gives you for their analytics system that shows up for tracking purposes. Okay, again, I'm not going to get into the details of this. I'm just going to let you know this is available. And Stova does have support docs on how to add those tracking pixels in their support docs. I would direct you there. So it's either have you here for Google Analytics or, again, the custom code. And with that, that really comes to the end of our presentation on Event Builder and the registration system and all the finer details. It looks like I'm kind of coming up right on the hour mark, so we definitely have plenty of time for any questions you may have. You can post them in the chat or just unmute your microphone. While I'm waiting, I'm just going to throw up our support options here. Again, for direct ASU support with Laura and I, or with the entire ASU community, post your question into our Slack channel. Have the hive mind of Stova users answer your questions and provide solutions that they've come up with to the same problems. Again, we have a support site with a lot of information on Stova and also the things that are unique to ASU and the Stova system. Send us an email. Happy to answer your questions via email. Our YouTube channel has many of our previous webinars posted there. And we have webinars coming up. It used to be part of the Event Builder series, but now it's just a standalone where I talk more about all the reports that you can do in Stova, especially in the registration site. One of the strengths, I think, of Stova is reporting. We still have some Stova Essentials classes coming, and another marketing module is also on the way, so check out those workshops if you have not. And then we offer office hours every Tuesday from 1:30 to 2:30 Mountain Standard Time, where you can just come in and ask your questions to Laura and I. The link to that office hours is always posted in our Slack channel. And if you have questions outside of office hours, because Laura and I just work 9 to 5, 8 to 5, then you can send them to Stova Support, either directly by email or, again, they have a support button that you can go to, see a support site full of their docs and webinars or quick videos. They also have a chat feature where you can talk directly with their support person, even have a phone number if that's what you prefer. Okay? All right, well, if no one has any information, it looks like I'm ending right on time, so I'm going to be able to give you 30 minutes back to your day. So I hope to see you again at one of our other webinars, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming.